seconds.
Have fun, buddy. Give it one. What's up, buddy?
When the green flag leaves the ground.
Alright guys, that's Horsepower Hill here at Rock Creek in Boonville, Arkansas. We'll get a little bit better look at it later in the video to give you some perspective because the GoPro doesn't give it any justice. But I believe it's a little over 500 foot of elevation change and roughly a quarter of a mile. So let's get going, see how this one went.
30 seconds.
The AXC guy gave us an extra minute on top of our normal 30 seconds to let the dust clear, and because there was some tight woods at the beginning, so that was super convenient. Really appreciate that. It's definitely helpful. Once you get to go and you'll see why.
A open only.
So you heard him right. I raced A Open. I let some of the guys that I talk to pretty regular up here in Arkansas taught me in running A Open. Normally I'd run B. I didn't get to practice, and as y'all saw, the boulders getting slung at me at the top of the hill. I was afraid to try to get the whole shot and run with it because I didn't know exactly what the hill was going to look like. I remembered last year we actually came and did this race on our dirt bikes, and I remembered it was washed out in a bunch of places and there was a bunch of large boulders, and I was just scared to death I was going to hit one and end up on my face. So I ended up getting behind this guy, and he set a pretty good pace, but you know, I wanted to go a little bit quicker and do everything I could to try to catch the XC1. That was kind of my goal for the day. letting this guy get too far ahead of me. He was throwing chunks of rocks at me, and I knew as wide as his bike was, he wasn't going to be able to keep up with me in the woods. So I was just kind of biding my time, waiting for a good opportunity to pass. That being said, he was giving it a pretty good run up these hills. So we made the pass, we got out front. Fortunately, this is pretty well where we stayed the entire time we were on the track. I was able to get out front, pulled a little over a minute lead on the first lap, stopped and had to get goggles. You'll see on the video in a minute why. And kept a pretty good pace going. That being said, the track was awesome, so fun. We'll do a little more commentating as we get into some rougher parts of the track. So this season I did something a little bit different. I actually narrowed my bike from 48.5 down to 46.5. And I don't know that I would have made it through here if I hadn't made that adjustment, just kind of by my own decision for this year in general. So this next section is what they have deemed the Dragon's Tail due to the ups and downs. Yet again, the GoPro doesn't do it any justice. I mean, it's a solid 40, maybe even 50 feet up and down, just straight, I mean, peaks that are just cut out on the side of this ridge. And he even told us at the riders meeting, do not jump them. And luckily I'd remembered it from last year, so I knew better anyway, because if you did, all you were going to do was face a rock cliff if you decided to go over it too fast.
All right.
So somewhere around this area, at an hour and 5 minutes ish, probably, I ended up bumping a rock and slicing my front right tire almost completely in half. I finished my third lap with a flat tire. It was rough. That's not going to be in this video because I just decided to do one lap since they were 24-minute laps. But just so everybody knows, that's how I kind of finished the race. Was I ended up getting a flat tire in the middle of lap 3. I still had a solid 1, maybe minute and a half lead, and I just I had to pull off. I wasn't able to finish. The woods were too tight. I literally was not able to steer the bike with it. I thought I was going to be able to limp it in, and it wasn't going to happen. So I know a couple people I talked to mentioned it too, but we came out and did this race last year on the dirt bikes. It was actually my very first race on the dirt bike. I don't think we had them but maybe a month or two, and it absolutely killed us. So I was super excited to come out to this track and ride it with quite a bit more experience, and on the ATV, which I enjoy racing more. So this is by far one of my favorite tracks I've ever been to. I mean, the rocks were challenging. The elevation was just insane. We literally went up and down this ridge, I don't know, probably 5 different times during the course of this race. And there was also a motocross track, which we should be getting to here in just a second. That was super fun. Super fast in some sections. Sure enough, like what I would consider hand cut. You know, I guess it'd be dual track since we're on ATVs, but I mean, just awesome job by Jeremy and his guys for putting this one together and making it as great as it was.
All right.
which is also when I had the flat tire, and it's smoking this stump that's just on the bottom left of the screen. Thought I broke my wrist. I wanted to cry when it happened. And that slowed my lap time down quite a bit. I ended up losing almost 30 seconds, but I believe I was still a minute ahead coming through scoring. So that was kind of nice to see on paper. I said that to say this though, if you're racing cross country, probably even motocross, and you're even a little bit serious about it, get you a steering damper. It has saved my wrist so many times since I installed it on the bike. Just even the littlest stumps have gone from what for sure could have been really bad to, oh, that hurt, but I'm gonna be okay, I just need to keep going. This should help give you guys some perspective. Look in the top right of the screen and that'll give you an idea. That was the start line. You can see the ridge, how tall it is in the background, and that's what we went up to go up the start. And then we immediately, as you saw, took a right hand turn and went right back down it, and then came back up it again on the rocky side. So it was a pretty good hill to climb. It was definitely intimidating looking at it, even though I had done it the year before. most of you guys know, I typically race the Louisiana Cross Country Series. I do enjoy coming up here to Arkansas and running with these guys. Jeremy puts on a great program. They're some of the most inviting people I've ever been around. Well, we were fortunate enough to have some guys from OCA, which is the Oklahoma Cross Country Racing Association, come out this weekend as well, and those guys are just as great to be around. I would highly encourage anybody who ever gets a chance to come out to LACC first of all and see us. But if you're closer to the Arkansas or Oklahoma state lines, come out and meet these guys. I mean, they're some of the best group of guys I've ever been around by far.
Good, buddy?
And like I said at the beginning, we ended up getting a flat tire on about halfway through lap 3. We did try to limp some of lap 4, but I pretty well pulled it in. So we ended up at the bottom, but we did lead the race the entire time we were in it for an hour and 15 minutes. So we're going to come back again next year with some tire spines or tire blocks 1, and we'll give it another try.